Now, yesterday in the Armed Services Committee in the Senate, General Petraeus appeared and Ambassador Crocker, who's a fine person, and Senator Clinton said that General Petraeus' presentation was a, quote, and I quote, willing suspension of disbelief. A willing suspension of disbelief. First of all, it's a willing suspension of disbelief that Senator Clinton thinks that she knows more than General Petraeus does about events on the ground. But I'll tell you what is a willing suspension of disbelief: that anyone would pretend to lead this nation who refuses to renounce and denounce an advertisement, an attack on the personal honor and dignity of one of the greatest Americans who's serving this country with dignity and honor, and that's General Petraeus. Denounce him, or don't try to lead this country. Denounce that ad. Denounce that ad. That advertisement should be denounced by every single candidate who is seeking the presidency of the United States. Full-page ad in the New York Times. Now, this is why, my friends, I intend to lead this country, and I intend to put an end to this kind of level of discussion and debate. I respect my opponents on the other side of the aisle, and I will not disparage their character or their integrity, and I will certainly never stand for anything like that to happen when I'm President of the United States, at least not from my party. So I thank you again. I would like to also finally mention to you the implications of failure in the region. If we fail in the region, and we set a date for withdrawal, you will see the Iranians exert more and more influence in the region. The president of Iran, remember, the same country that has announced their dedication to the extinction of the State of Israel, the same country that's developing nuclear weapons, the same country that is building and exporting into Iraq the most lethal kinds of explosives which are killing American soldiers and Marines. This country, the president of this country, just of Iran, a few days ago said there will be a very large vacuum in Iraq when the Americans leave. We will fill that gap. That's what this is about. It's also about the Sunnis in Saudi Arabia feeling they have to help the Sunni. It emboldens the Syrians who are trying, as we speak, to overthrow the legitimate government of Lebanon. They are supporting Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, who are both terrorist organizations. As you know, Musharraf is very shaky in his position of power in Pakistan. Things are not going as well as we wanted them to in Afghanistan. So there's a lot at stake here, and there's a great deal at stake. And it's all now part of the struggle against radical Islamic extremism. You saw bin Laden's message a couple of days ago, and he continues to be hiding out there, as I mentioned, in some part of Pakistan or Afghanistan, so I am told. But the important thing is two things. One, when my old friends and I came home from prison a lot of years ago, America was in pretty bad shape. We had a defeated military. We had riots, we had drug use, we had desertions because our military had been defeated. We had Americans being held captive in Iran. We had assassinations, and we had a breakdown of some of our institutions of government. And a lot of people, including the then incumbent president who said we were suffering from a national malaise, thought that our best days were behind us. A guy came out of California who had a very different idea. He said the Berlin Wall would come down. He called them an evil empire. He said that we would win. And in the words of Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan won the Cold War without firing a shot. My friends, you can take great confidence in the future of this nation. And one fundamental reason, among many others, but probably the most important, is the men and women who are serving in the military today are the best trained, the most professional, the best equipped, and the most patriotic and best that America has ever had. and we're very, very proud of them and the magnificent work that they are doing under the most difficult conditions that one can imagine. So. Again, with my apologies for being late and respond to your questions or comments. But before I do, I'd just like to mention to you something that happened to me about a month or so ago at a town hall meeting in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, which I think puts all this into the right perspective, our political ambitions and a lot of other things. But at a town hall meeting in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, a woman stood up at a town hall meeting, as some of you will do in just a few minutes, and she stood up and she said, "Senator McCain, my son, Matthew Stanley, was killed in Iraq just before Christmas last year outside of Baghdad. And would you wear a bracelet with his name on it?" I told her I would be honored to do that. And then she said, I want you to promise me that you'll do everything that you can to make sure that his sacrifice was not in vain." My friends, that's what this debate is all about. We want to make sure that these brave young Americans have not sacrificed in vain, and that we will not have to, and we will do everything in our power to avoid ever calling on them again, because we will give them a safe and secure world. And the first place we can start achieving that goal is by not surrendering in Iraq. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. And I think we might have a microphone, but I'm not sure, but maybe, I guess, surrounded by incompetency. It's time. Yes, sir.
I'd like to have you recognize John Phillips. He's a World War II prisoner of war, and he's here, and he probably should. Thank you. The gentleman right here is John Phillips. He's a World War II prisoner captured in Germany and shot 6 times. And I'd like to have him be up and
Thank you, John. Thank you for your service. You are our inspiration and the inspiration to the young men and women who are serving today. Question, comment? Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you. Go ahead. Next. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Senator McCain, I'm really proud for what you stand and for you being a hero of this country. And I agree with you that we should stay the course in Iraq, because if we don't kill them there, we have to kill them here.
Thank you, sir.
My question for you is, as a proud American who wasn't born here, and you know what the question is going to be.
I think so.
Please answer me as a American hero, not as a politician. Why in God's name did you get on board with the likes of Kennedy and try to pass that amnesty bill?
Well, sir, what I tried to do was make sure that our borders are secure. That has to be our first priority. And try to address the issue and not just let it sit out there with broken borders and 12 million people in this country illegally. I got the message from the last debate on the floor of the Senate of the United States. Americans want the border secured. I will secure the border of the United States of America. I will have the border state governors certify that the borders are secure, and then we will move forward, I hope and pray, with a temporary worker program that is viable, and somehow we have to address the issue of the 12 million people who are already in this country. We failed, my friends, because the American people no longer have trust and confidence that we will do what we say in Washington. Our failure in Katrina, our failures in Iraq, the corruption and spending in Washington, which has caused most of our Republican base to become disenchanted and dispirited, and I will secure the borders and then move on to the other aspects of the issue. That's the message, and that's what we have to do, and I hope we do it sooner rather than later. Thank you, sir.